Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a get ready with me, and I actually just wanted to tell you a story, and I thought I would put on makeup while I'm telling you the story. I don't have any, new products or anything like that. As a matter of fact, some of the things I'm going to be using are probably laughable, but this is how I put on my makeup pretty much every single day. This is not going to be a tutorial. It's not going to be instructional or anything like that. Like I said, I just have a story that I wanted to tell you, and I didn't want to tell it until it was over. And now that it's over, I feel like I can let out a huge sigh of relief, and then I can just, share this little story with you guys. So yeah, let's put on some makeup. Y'all, before I get started, I wanted to show you this little dog. This is my mom's dog. Her name's Maybelline. And I'm babysitting her right now because my mom's in town and she decided to go to the movies with a friend. And so look at her beautiful little dog. She will just sit there by the door and whine until my mom comes back. This is her little shadow. Ever since I was young, my mom has always had these little dogs, and she just pampers them so much. She even dresses them. She is so dense. This dog is so dense. Like, she's so heavy for me right now. But isn't she beautiful? She looks majestic to me. She's a little long-haired chihuahua, and I think she's just so sweet. But yeah, I don't mind babysitting you. You're so cute. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm just gonna get started by putting on some powder foundation because that's what I do every day. I don't put, oh, you're okay. Did you hear her? She's like crying for my mom. I put this on every single day. I usually don't wear foundation just because I don't like the way that it looks on me. I like when I can just wear a powder foundation, and yeah, it works out. So anyway, okay, the story begins with last school year. My daughter came home and she was saying that one of her teachers, her chemistry teacher, and then another French teacher, every year these two teachers put together like a big tour group and take a lot of the kids to Europe. And it's a 12-day trip. They're gone for 12 days. And she asked if she could go. Now, keep in mind, my daughter was 16 at the time. She just started driving. And so in my mind, I was like, absolutely not. Let's wait until like the summer of your senior year. And she's like, no, I really want to go. I want the experience. She wanted to go, see Europe. And so my husband and I talked about it, and he said, let's let her go. He thought that it would help her kind of grow as a person and stuff. And I was like, of course, I turn into anxiety girl, and I'm like, oh my God, no way. She's 17 years old. I mean, she's only going to be 17 years old. It just seemed way too premature. But he thinks that I need to kind of allow my daughter to grow up and have her independence and stuff like that, which I'm not trying to keep her from having her independence. To me, the thought of my daughter in another country for 12 days, it was completely unsettling to me, especially for a 17-year-old girl who, although she's going to be part of a tour group, still, I don't know, it was just so much for me to kind of accept and digest and everything. But I knew that I had a whole year to do it, and of course, I'm not going to mention it here because of course I don't know, there's just certain information that you don't want to have out there too prematurely, right? Okay, so now I'm going to put on my eyebrows, and I'm just going to use this little e.l.f. powder right here. I do have, tattooed eyebrows. I tattooed them myself, so they're kind of there. I did put, powder all over them just now. But anyway, okay, so a little backstory is that whenever she was wanting to go, on this trip to Europe, she was also talking to this boy who she's now been dating for almost a year now. She was talking to him at the time, and she was telling him that she wanted to go on this trip. And he had two friends that were going on this trip to Europe also. So he was like, you know what? I want to go. I want this experience. I want to go on this trip to Europe. I don't think that they had started dating yet. They were just kind of in the talking phase or whatever. So he did go on this trip, and I'm so thankful now. Like at the time I was like, wait a second, what if y'all continue? What if y'all start dating and y'all are dating and then you go on this trip to Europe? I was thinking, I don't know about this, but once we got to this point, I was so glad that he was there for so many reasons. So I should just tell this story because otherwise I'm never going to, it's so hard for me to do two things at once. Whenever I start talking, it's like I don't pay attention, to what I'm doing. So anyway, fast forward to a couple weeks ago, it was the day she leaves for Europe. And it's making me emotional just thinking about it, because up until that point, my daughter doesn't do a lot, you know, we do a lot of things as a family. And so she's definitely been away from home, you know, a night or two, or just recently she was with my parents it's a place that we go every year to do family reunion. She wanted to stay behind and hang out with all the other cousins. So she was there for like 3 or 4 days, I think 4 days, you know, with all the other cousins and my parents, but she's never gone for very long. So this was a hard pill for me to swallow. Let me put on this eyebrow real fast. So anyway, it is, you know, the day, her departure day, and saying goodbye. Of course, I was like, keep it together, keep it together. I don't want her to think I'm emotional as she's walking out the door to go, you know, to another country, because I want her to be strong and feel, I don't know. Anyway, I messed up. And the second I'm saying goodbye to her, all of a sudden, you know, tears start coming, of course. And I'm like, no, baby, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I was like trying to make up for how nervous I was about it all. Anyway, so she left, and literally the second she's out of my eyesight, I bawled for like 10 straight minutes. Like, it's making me emotional right now. And I'm talking like the kind of bawling where your shoulders are bouncing, you know, because you're so, like, I just had so much. That's my little girl, you know, and she's going to be gone for 12 days. I'm not even used to her not being in this house for 1 or 2 days, much less 12 days. And it just, you know, I know it's probably preparation for when she moves out, because next year she's going off to college, and, you know, she's going to be doing the dorm life and all that stuff. And so I guess it was great preparation, but it just freaked me out a little bit. Okay, so I gotta keep moving along. So the next thing that I'm gonna do, and this is where people are gonna probably make fun of me for this, but y'all, this is what I do almost every day. And I wanna show you here. I've got a Tarte palette. I've got an Urban Decay palette. I've got Morphe, another Morphe, another Morphe. This has something stuck to it. And I just reach past all of these to reach for my e.l.f. eyebrow powder to use as eyeshadow. It's like, no matter what, this middle color right here, whatever that color is, I cannot find a perfect match to this in any eyeshadow palette, and this is what I want. And so I'm like, why am I not just using that? So that's what I use. I literally use it every day. And I think I probably have, just like every other woman that's probably watching right now, I know we have like 100 eyeshadow palettes in there somewhere. I've got drawers of eyeshadow palettes, and this is what I reach for. So my daughter hops on an international flight, and she's on this flight for like 11 hours. It was a straight shot from Austin, Texas to, I think it was Belfast. No, it was Dublin. So anyway, they went to, let's see, Scotland, Ireland, London, and France. I think those are the places that they went to. And of course, I think they were all most excited to go to Paris, France, and see, you know, the Eiffel Tower. So anyway, and you know, one thing that's a little bit comforting whenever you have a child that age going overseas like that is that we were in constant communication with her. You know, we can FaceTime. Isn't that so funny that we can FaceTime? Now I keep stopping. It's so funny that we, you know, can FaceTime now, because when we were young, do y'all remember that cartoon, The Jetsons? And I would think, golly, you know, I wonder if that's ever gonna happen. I wonder if there's ever gonna be a time where we're gonna just be able to talk to somebody and see them at the same time. So that was something that was very comforting, because we could text and we could FaceTime. However, they were like either 6 or 7 hours ahead of us at all times. So, you know, it was really hard to kind of like, whenever she wanted to call us, maybe first thing in the morning or something like that, it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning here. And of course, you know, we're like, call us whenever you need to, you know, whatever. We're easily gonna wake up and talk to her. So you see how basic this is? This is so basic. This is what I do from day to day. And I just love this color. It is a perfect, it's not too dark, it's not too light. I feel like it's just so perfect. So anyway, we were in constant communication with her. And so it wasn't as daunting as I had originally anticipated. And I feel like it was such a growing experience for not only her, but also for me, because if you know me, and I feel like everybody in my family was more worried about me than they were her. My daughter's really, really strong. My daughter's very independent. She's very tough. She figures stuff out on her own. You know, it's not that I was worried. I'm just worried about my baby. You know what I mean? It's not that I was worried about her not being able to figure stuff out. The thought of your young daughter being in another country so far away is just, it's a hard pill to swallow at first. Okay, so that's literally all I'm gonna do for my eyes right there. Sometimes I will darken it up on the outer edges, but I'm just not even gonna do that right now because I just wanna get through this story. So she's there and she's having a good time, of course. I mean, they are from sun up to sundown. They are going places and sightseeing. I mean, she had to take so many modes of transportation. At one point they were on a train, another time they were on like a 2 or 3 hour ferry. And then of course the plane rides, you know, and the buses and just everything. I mean, she had a wonderful experience, and I'm so happy, you know, about that. I'm so glad that she's home safe. So anyway, she has this wonderful time the whole time she's there. I'm gonna curl my eyelashes real fast. So now I'm gonna put on some mascara, and it's the CoverGirl Exhibitionist. This is one of my favorites. I absolutely love the L'Oreal False Fiber Lash. However, it dries out so quick, but when it's brand new, oh my gosh, it's my absolute favorite. So she goes and she has, you know, just all these wonderful experiences, and she's having them all with her boyfriend because now they've been together for almost a year. And so she's just on cloud nine, just having the time of her life. So 12 days are finally up. And I'm so thankful that my daughter's gonna be coming home and she's gonna be, you know, back in the United States, safe and sound with us, you know? And so we talked with her that morning and she's like, yeah, you know, we're getting ready to leave and we're gonna go hop on our plane and I'll see you guys by the end of the day. So then all of a sudden we get this phone call from my daughter and she's like, we're not leaving after all. The flight has been canceled. And I'm like, what? What do you mean your flight's been canceled? And she said, I don't know what's going on, but they canceled our flights and we can't leave and we don't know when we're gonna be able to get the next flight home. And so of course I start getting online and I'm like, what's going on? Why are flights being canceled in Paris? And sure enough, they were having a strike. They were having a strike, I think it was in Heathrow, and I'm pretty sure it was the traffic controllers that were having this strike. And so they couldn't leave. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so now what's gonna happen? And I have to say, y'all, I really have to give it to these chaperones. You know, they chaperone this every year. And I'm not sure how long they've been doing it. I know for several years they've been doing it. And they always go through a tour company that kind of sets everything up for them. So they're at the mercy of this tour company, but they start calling the tour company and say, hey, look, there's been a strike. Our flights have been canceled. And so this tour company is trying their best to get everybody that's in the group. And this group has like 30 or 40 people in it. And a lot of kids, husbands and wives, a lot of kids are just on their own like our daughter was. And so sure enough, the tour company calls them back and says, all right, we've had to split y'all up into several different groups. And y'all might be going in separate directions, but we're just gonna do our best to try to get y'all home because there were very few flights going out to the United States. So I think there's like, I wanna say there may have been a little over 30 people that all went on this trip. So they broke them up into 5 different groups and they had them going in all directions. And unfortunately, they weren't trying to keep anyone together. So one of the moms got separated from her 2 daughters, who she went with. You know, she went with her 2 daughters to take them on this trip, and they got separated from each other. My daughter got separated from all the people that she knew there, which was just about 4 people that she was real familiar with. She got separated from all of them. There were husbands and wives that got separated. And when I say separated, I mean they decided to ship several groups. I want to say it was like 3 groups. They decided to ship back to London to wait in a hotel and try to take a flight out of there. And then they left the other 2 groups in Paris and they would have to stay there for 2 extra days and then take the next flight out of there. So needless to say, my anxiety was through the roof, as any mom could imagine. And unfortunately, my daughter was part of the 3 groups who had to go back to London stay in a hotel, and then take a flight to the United States, layover in Salt Lake City, and then back to Austin, and then bust back to the city that I live in, Corpus Christi. The other groups that stayed in Paris, they were stuck there for 2 days in a hotel, and then they took a straight flight from Paris to Austin, and then a bus back to Corpus. So anyway, all of a sudden, my daughter is, you know, separated from the people that she's familiar with, and staying in, before they had them kind of grouped in hotels together, like 2 or 3 to a hotel, you know, kids that are the same age and stuff like that. Well, when they decided to ship everyone back to London, everybody got their own hotel room. So here my 17-year-old daughter is in her own hotel room overseas, and I've been in a hotel room at this age. Whenever I flew to Florida for Venus, I was in a hotel room by myself, and it's eerie. It's uncomfortable. It's hard to sleep. You know, you just want to be home. You just want to be back, you know, home with your family. So I was so proud of my daughter. I mean, my daughter, like I said, she's so tough. She just really is. Of course, it was uncomfortable for her, and she just wanted to get home, just like everybody in the group. Everybody just wanted to get home. It was literally 3 days of just being stuck in hotels and traveling for my daughter who's 17. Like, I can't keep stressing that because it freaks me out. When I was 17, oh my gosh, I would have been a basket case. But you know what? We didn't have the communication that we do now. You know, we weren't able to just keep in touch with somebody instantaneously, especially if you were overseas. Imagine that. There was no, you would have to like collect call or make long distance calls and all that other stuff. Now, we did have to get her a particular like plan for the month because she was going to be overseas. God, there was so much preparation just to get her to be able to go, you know? But can you guys imagine if you're there and you're the mom, like I said, some people were separated. If you're the mom and you're there with your 2 daughters, and then they're like, oh, mom, you're going back to London. Daughters are staying here in Paris. What would you can't do anything. Like you are just literally at their mercy because you all just want to get home. You know, the whole time we're just always talking, and I'm like, you know, I know this stinks. And the next 3 days, of course, even though I'm like, you know, a wreck inside, I try not to show that to my daughter, even though sometimes it's hard, just because I can be really emotional easily. If, you know, like I said, whenever she was leaving, I was like, ooh, you know, but in times like this, I always surprise myself because in times like this, so many people, like family members, were trying to make sure I was okay because they know how I feel about certain things and how overprotective I am and stuff like that. But I was really, really strong about it. And sometimes, you know, when you have to be strong for your child, you just, I don't know, something comes over you and you just behave totally differently. I did anyway. And I was just like, you know, the next several days, it's gonna suck. But before you know it, you're gonna be home, and this is gonna be kind of a cool story to tell. Like, this is gonna be a story that you're gonna tell your kids one day about the time you were 17 years old and you took a trip to Europe, and then you got stuck, you know, in Paris and London for 3 days trying to get back to the United States. You know, that's kind of a cool story, you know, in the end. At the time, it's not. At the time, it's daunting, you know, you just want to get home, and I just wanted her to be home. But so she came home yesterday, and she has literally slept. I mean, she slept so much just because when they were there, like I said, they were there for 12 days. They are doing stuff from sun up to sundown, active every single day for 12 days. If we go out of town for 3 or 4 days, when we get back, I need like 2 days of rest. You know what I mean? Okay, so this is my new favorite lip liner right now. So I guess I do have a product that is kind of new that I love. So let me show you what it looks like. If you were paying attention before I put on my lip liner, this side of my mouth swoops down like that, and this one kind of goes over like that. So I try to overcorrect when I put on my lip liner so that they match. Isn't this such a beautiful color? I think it matches my lips perfectly, and I just love it. Now, usually I will put on just a little bit of chapstick. This is just Burt's Bees. just to keep, you know, my lips moisturized. Okay, I feel like I barely have any makeup on, but I really didn't put a lot of thought into it. Usually I do my makeup a little bit better than this. But anyway, I'm gonna put on a little bit of bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula, and I really like it. It's nice. So I feel like I just need a little bit more color. And you know, I think I could leave my lipstick just like this, but I think I'm gonna put a little bit of this Hot Vivid Lip Lacquer just in the center, just to kind of, I don't know, make my lips look a little bit more plump or something. Now this you kind of have to manipulate with your fingers because it doesn't spread real easily, but I love it because it stays on forever. Okay, I think I just lightened that up a little bit, and I feel like it just makes my lips look a little bit more plump. So anyway, in the end, my daughter had a great time, and I'm so glad that she had this experience. You know, one thing that she's kind of really happy about is that she got to have this experience with her boyfriend. Like I said, they've almost been together for a year. Next month is going to be a year, and before they had even become like official boyfriend and girlfriend, they had already both signed up to this trip. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of cute. We love my daughter's boyfriend. I feel like they are such a good match. They communicate so well. They're so kind to each other. They're so thoughtful with each other. They just don't argue almost never. She was saying that whenever they were there, it's kind of funny because this is how I am. Like whenever me and my husband go pretty much anywhere together, I just kind of go on autopilot. I just let him, you know, lead the way, and I just kind of blindly follow. And it's really nice. It's really nice to have a husband like that. You know, you just feel safe and protected, and you know that they're going to make all the right decisions. But it's kind of funny when you're just thrown out there to do it on your own. Like whenever I had to go to Florida, I was like, oh no, now I've got to figure this stuff out for myself, you know. And you will make do, you know. You've got to kind of trust in your intelligence, really. But it's nice whenever you can just like blindly follow somebody else. And I feel like, you know, for the most of the trip, that's how my daughter was with her boyfriend. She was just kind of letting him lead the way and stuff, and he was just, you know, always kind of looking out for her and just, you know, being protective and stuff like that. And it's just so sweet. They're just such a sweet couple. So anyway, so that's pretty much it. You know, nothing special. I just kind of wanted to tell y'all this story. Okay, so this is the final look, and it's just whatever, right? This is how I do my makeup almost every day. But, you know, when we picked her up yesterday, it was so cute because one of the things that she kept saying is like, I've never wanted to be home so bad. And God, imagine that feeling, especially when you're 17. There are movies based on that feeling, you know, like The Wizard of Oz. You know, the whole time she was just like, there's no place like home, there's no place like. But I just know that feeling when you just want to get home and just be back in a familiar place, you know, with your family and your bed and your kitchen and, you know, just all that stuff. And another thing that I thought was so cute is that whenever she was still there, she had texted me and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, I hate the food here. Like she just, I think it's probably an acquired taste. Apparently a lot of the kids were like, oh, you know, it wasn't that, it's just unfamiliar probably. But she's like, whenever I get home, can you make, I want your spaghetti, I want your homemade pot pies, I want those spring rolls. Can you also make that little, I make this little like deconstructed sushi bowl. And she wanted all those things, and I thought that was so cute because nobody's ever like missed my cooking. Nobody, you know, nobody in my family praises me for my cooking because I cook a certain way, and it's typically to keep a certain physique, you know. So it's not as rich and decadent as some of the other people in my family cook. And so, but you know, your kids, they always love your cooking. They love whatever they kind of grew up with, you know. So she was just like, I miss your cooking so much. I thought that was so sweet. I'm like, I need to print this text out and frame it because nobody's ever said anything like that to me before. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me sharing my very stressful, you know, last few days with you. Let me know if you've ever been through something like that. I think the best way to describe it, you know, especially for a parent, is just helpless. Like we felt so helpless. There was nothing that we could do to get her home quicker. We just had to kind of wait it out, you know, and hope that they got her home safely. And oh, anyway, I'm just so glad it's over, and I'm so glad that she's home. And they start school next week, so I feel like we're gonna get back into a routine of things. The summers are chaotic for us. I mean, I feel like every weekend we're either going out of town or somebody's coming in town. As a matter of fact, we were out of town last weekend, and we came back early because we wanted to be here, obviously, when my daughter got home, and then sure enough, she was delayed 3 days. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I always appreciate your time. I hope you're having a fantastic weekend, and hopefully I will see you back here next week.